Hello and welcome back to the channel. In this video we're going to go over two crucial aspects of AWS. First we're going to go over how to manage costs with budgets and the billing console. Then we're going to look at EC2, also known as the Elastic Compute Cloud, one of AWS's most popular services. And by the end you're going to be able to understand how to manage your AWS bill and how to get started with the fundamentals of cloud computing. So let's get started with budgeting. So when you open the AWS account, it's easy to overlook how quickly charges can build up. That's why AWS provides the billing and cost management console, as seen in the top right. But here's the catch. Only the root account is granted full access by default. So if you're an IAM user, you must explicitly allow your billing access. Once you've logged in, the billing panel will show you exactly where your money's going, broken down service by service. This is where your budget comes in. So that your budget allows you to set notifications for when your expenditure crosses a certain threshold. For example, suppose you're experimenting with EC2 for the first time, you may establish a $5 daily budget or a $20 monthly budget. When your charges exceed that threshold, AWS is going to send you an email or notification. This is a lifesaver for first-time users because it prevents the common mistake of leaving an instance running overnight and waking up to a higher bill than planned. So now we're going to move on to EC2, Amazon's Elastic Compute Cloud. So at its heart, EC2 provides the ability to run applications without the requirement for your own physical servers. Rather than purchasing hardware, you're just going to rent virtual machines on demand. EC2 is more than just a platform for computing power. You can also use it to store data, balance loads across several machines, and automatically scale up or down based on your traffic. That's where the word elastic, that's where that part of the term comes in. So you're not limited to a single size or configuration. You may modify it to match your workload. When you first launch an EC2 instance, you're going to need to configure it. So first, you're going to need to select your operating system. So this would be Linux, Windows, or even Mac OS if your program demands it. Then you're going to decide how much processing power you require. In other words, how many CPU cores. Next, you're going to select the quantity of RAM and storage capacity. Storage alternatives can include network-attached drives, where there's more flexible, and hardware-attached drives, which can provide better performance. Another consideration is networking, such as network card speed, or whether you want your machine to have a public IP address. Next, you're going to decide on your security, which is when firewall rules, also known as security groups, come into play. Finally, one of the most popular features, the bootstrap script, also known as the EC2 user data. This allows you to preload commands that are executed as soon as the instance starts. You could, for example, set up an automatic update, program download, or environment configuration. So this setup repeatable, and it saves a significant amount of time. Amazon developed EC2 to support a wide range of use cases, which is why there's so many instance types. So that your general purpose instance is very universal. It's ideal for web servers and development environments that require a balance of CPU, memory, and networking. Compute optimized instances are intended for performance-intensive tasks such as scientific modeling, machine learning, and high-performance gaming servers. Memory optimized instances are very useful for working with enormous data sets, such as running an in-memory database or performing real-time big data analytics. Accelerated computing instances allow specialized hardware such as GPUs to do tasks like video rendering and deep learning. Storage optimized instances are ideal for applications that require extremely fast read and write rates on massive data sets such as big databases and data warehousing. HPC optimized instances are designed for high performance computing tasks like simulations, engineering models, and anything else that tests hardware to its limits. With these categories, you won't have to overpay for resources you don't need, and you can just pair that instance with whatever workload you have. So each instance follows a naming convention that makes it easier to grasp at a glance. For example, consider this on-screen example, M5.2x large. The letter M indicates it's a general purpose machine. The 5 will represent the 5th generation, making it newer than an M4. Finally, 2x large represents the size within that family. The larger the size, the more processors, the more RAM, and the more performance you receive. This technique makes it a lot easier to select the appropriate machine without having to memorize all the specifications. And to recap, we started by looking at the budgets and how to control your AWS costs. Then we explored EC2 basics, what it is, and how to configure an instance, the different instance families, and how to read instance names. In the next video, we're going to go deeper into EC2, covering security, storage, and Amazon machine images. I'll see you there, and thank you for watching.